Well, what a sad day it has been truly for India and, of course, India Inc. as well. The revered patriarch of Tata Sons and a towering figure in the Indian industry has passed on at the age of 86. A visionary leader, Ratan Tata's tenure at the helm of Tata Group transformed it into a global powerhouse with key acquisitions including Jaguar Land Rover. Under his leadership, TCS, that's Tata Consultancy Services, and Tata Motors reached new heights. A champion of innovation, truly, he introduced Tata Nano, one of the world's most affordable cars. Beyond his business achievements, of course, Ratan Tata was known for his humility, philanthropy, and a deep sense of responsibility towards India's growth and progress. His contributions, of course, to the nation extend far beyond industry, earning him the Padma Vibhushan, India's second highest civilian award. His passion leaves an irreplaceable void, marking the end of an era in Indian business and public life. His mortal remains are kept at the NCPA lawns as of now, which is in Nariman Point in South Mumbai, for people to pay their respects and homage. The Maharashtra cabinet has also passed a resolution to recommend Tata's name for the Bharat Ratna Award. And what a big loss for society, I should say.
Yeah, like I said in the morning, Aisha, if a pantheon of great leaders, thinkers, philanthropists had to be made, Ratan Tata's name would certainly find its positioning on the pedestal. Not only was he a great leader, a great visionary, he pivoted a lot of old Tata companies to new Tata companies, incubated a lot of businesses. What was important is that at the heart of everything what Tatas have done so far and what they will do is purpose, giving it back to the society, growth driven by corporate governance, and they've created a conglomerate which perhaps is present in salt to steel, from semiconductor to aviation, from cars to hotels, from air conditioning to mutual funds. They pretty much are what India is, and that is what Ratan Tata represented. He took Tata Group global. He ensured that Indian companies became world class, and he continued the tradition of the Tata Group of giving it back to the society in a very magnificent manner. Today, the Tata Group combined market cap is $350 billion. When he took over, it was less than $3 billion. That's the magic he's created. He was running over 30 companies, present in over 100 countries, was never a billionaire, but made a lot of investors who invested in Tata Group companies billionaires. We'll take that story forward. Mr. C.S. Shetty, Chairman of State Bank of India, joins us now. Mr. Shetty, I'm sure both personally and professionally, you must have interacted with Mr. Ratan Tata. What are some of your fond memories? What are some of the inspirations which you would like to share with us?
Yeah, thanks, Nikunj, for having me here. I think you well summarized in terms of the contribution of Sri Ratan Tata and the Tata Group to the country's economy, and more particularly in the industrial sector. And I think there is nothing what Tata Group has not touched. And I think it has become a household name over the years. Personally, in my 36 years of state bank career, I've been broadly in the corporate banking, and for several years, I've been personally a relationship manager for Tata Group. So my experience with this group has been, kind of something which would never be forgotten. In terms of learning that, how do you create value for the company without compromising on your values? I think that is a big learning for all of us, when we look at the life and times of Sri Ratan Tata. My personal experience, and as well as the deep relationship SBI shared with Tata Group over the years, more than a century, I can say, has been phenomenal. We've been part of their journey in the sense that the overseas acquisitions like Chorus, Jaguar, many other major events which have happened in the Tata Group, SBI has been part of it. I think this journey has been phenomenal. The learnings are essentially in terms of the corporate governance everybody's talking about, and also the indelible impression which has left in terms of the philanthropic landscape of the country is also something amazing.
That the Tata Group is one group which every banker would love to have. It is just that they don't like to borrow a lot of money.
True. I think this is one group which has never went overboard on borrowing. Yes, every lender would like to be associated with the Tata Group. We were fortunate in the sense that we were always have been a favored banker to the Tata Group. We have, in fact, identified especially one branch to deal exclusively with the Tata Group, the corporate accounts group. The relationship spans across the business segments, and as you said, salt to semiconductors, we are there everywhere. I think more than the lending and borrowing relationship, our relationship is much deeper in the sense that the TCS provides the backbone to many banks, including SBI in core banking. And the kind of volumes what SBI currently is able to handle is also largely attributed to the very strong core banking platform that Tata Group company TCS was able to create for SBI. I think our association is beyond banking, I can say.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Mr. Sethi, the legend has it that famous loan in 2007 when the Tata Group was looking to acquire Chorus, and I believe it was a sizable loan of $1 billion. Please correct me if I'm wrong, which was passed in a span of about almost 5 minutes. Is that true? Would love to hear the story behind it, the kind of conviction that you had in what Tata Steel was actually going to do.
No, I think whether it's 5 minutes or one day, let's not get into that. It's the fact that I think Chorus deal was done with a greater confidence in the Tata Group ability. And more importantly, I think the personal credibility of Mr. Tata himself was something what was considered by the board of SBI when it was extended. And that confidence was never put to test to deal with Tata Group. I think apart from the Chorus deal, I've been witness the way the group has dealt with the debt related to Tata Teleservices, for example. Nobody really knows about the way they went about and ensured that every lender gets paid every rupee what the group borrowed from for the Tata Teleservices. I think it is something which has to be written in the annals of banking history in the country.
Now, I also have a Bhavesh Agrawal of Ola Group and Utpal Seth of Rare. Now, Ratan Tata himself was not a billionaire, even though he made those who invested with him billionaires, and he invested in a lot of future billionaires like Ola. So, Bhavesh, what was your first interaction with Mr. Tata? When he invested in you, what was his view and what was his advice, and what was your last engagement with him?
Nikunj, firstly, thank you for having me. It's a really somber mood across the nation. And I think the mood of the nation really captures the essence of the once in many generations personality that Mr. Tata was. And, for me, I actually had a very deeply personal relationship with him. Obviously, growing up, my relationship with him starts from the first time I ever met him was actually in college. He gave me my degree. He was the convocation speaker in 2008. I was a nobody, young kid, nobody. And he gave me my degree. He spoke wise words in his speech. I remember them, serve your country. And then after that, I met him one-on-one first time in 2015 when he chose to invest in Ola. And the first meeting for me was obviously as a young businessman meeting his childhood hero. And since then, actually, since he invested in us, for me, actually, that was the start of a very deep relationship over a decade, 2015 till 2024. He was always very gracious, very humble, very willing to invest time with me with whatever agenda I would take to him. Even though for him, I was not probably the only entrepreneur taking time from him, but I was always he was always there. For me, in a way, it was today losing a grandfatherly figure. And I actually want to share with all your viewers the human side of Mr. Tata. I'm sure everybody can talk about the business side, but for me, when he invested in Ola Cabs 2015, then we started engaging. I used to go and meet him. There are two things I really, took away from him. Firstly, when the founding of Ola Electric, my second company, is actually due to Mr. Tata. One fine day, it's a very small, interesting story and anecdote. In 2017, he called me and said, "Bhavish, come to Mumbai. I want to show you something. I want to take you somewhere." And I said, "I don't know what Mr. Tata wants to show me." So I went down to Mumbai. And this is the nature of the man. He took me with him in his plane from Mumbai to Coimbatore, showed me his personal project that he was running in Coimbatore for electric vehicles. He had, as a side project out of the Tata group, he had built an electric nano. And he took me in that electric nano on a test drive, and he told me, "Bhavish, this is the problem with this vehicle and engineering this thing." He told the engineers to fix the tuning, this, that. And I was shocked. This is here a man who is retired, who is the top businessman of India, taking me, a young entrepreneur, all the way to Coimbatore just to show me this EV company of his, or EV project of his. And since then I got interested in EVs, and I said, "Sir, I want to start a company in EVs." And he said, "Bhavish, I will invest in that company." And which he did. He always followed through on his word. And every product that we built in Ola Electric, I used to go and sit with him and show the design, show the manufacturing thinking. And he was always so patient in walking through everything. And I used to wonder, how can a man like him have so much time? But that's the kind of man he was. I mean, I'm having goosebumps just speaking about these memories with him. Truly one of a kind.
So when you went public, did he call you after that? Did he tell you that how should you take Ola Electric public? Was he happy when it was a bumper listing?
So I actually met him when we had filed for the DRHP last year. So I had gone to take his blessings then in Mumbai, and unfortunately, that was the last time I met him. He was already pretty frail back then, but he was such a gracious man. He came, he dropped me out till the exit of his house. My wife was waiting there. He said hello to her, and he said, "Bhavish, always all the best. My best encouragements to you." And he pretty much blessed the journey of Ola Electric as a public company back then. And since then, I hadn't been able to meet him. His health was not keeping well. And after the IPO, I was not able to speak with him. But knowing the man, I always felt that I have his hand on my head somehow. Yeah, he was that kind of a man.
How blessed and fortunate are you? That's all we have to say, Bhavish. But stay with us. Let me also welcome on board Dr. Mukund Rajan, author and has been a brand custodian for the Tata Group for the longest. We also have Utpal Sheth with us from RARE. And the Trust Group. But Mukund, if I could get you in on this discussion, I mean, I'm sure you have a treasure trove of memories with Mr. Tata.
Absolutely. I mean, wonderful human being. I think that's the first thing that anyone who has met him will say about him. And then obviously what he meant for the Tatas, a brilliant strategist, somebody who had an ambition to really take this group global. And the way he went about it through the 1990s, really ensuring that Tata's well placed to take on competition in India after liberalization. And then through the 2000s, the path towards growth overseas and building brands, including the inorganic route. So I think there's so much that he has done for Tata's, but also equally importantly for India, to really allow all of us to really feel proud that an Indian business person could demonstrate, the way in which you can actually do business and succeed. And right through this, I often tell people every single speech that I heard him make in a public forum, he would always talk about the importance of values and ethics. I think it's very important for us to really have people like him in public life who will really talk about the right way to do business. And therefore, he's been, I think, an incredible role model. So great loss today with his passing.
I just want to bring this point out for our viewers here that Ratan Tata never made it to the billionaires list. But when he took over as the chairman of Tata Sons, The market cap was less than $5 billion. Today it stands at $300 billion plus, 350 to be precise. And there are a lot of investors who became billionaires because they took a leap of faith on Tata Group of companies. And one group which took a huge leap of faith was the Rare Group. And Utpal Seth joins us now. Mr. Seth, thank you for joining us. Now, the group which you represent had a very close connection with the Tata Group. They always believed in the ethos, the principles, and the policies. So at Rare Group, if you have to share anecdotes or perhaps stories of Ratan Tata, what is that first thing that comes to your mind, Mr. Seth?
Let me first say that Rakeshji held the Tata Group in the highest possible esteem. He felt so strongly about the Tata Group, and he really believed that this group would never do anything wrong, either at a corporate level or for the minority shareholders or for the country. He really believed that this group has the ethos and the culture of keeping the right people, ensuring that you do business the right way, and will create value, which is why he invested so strongly into this Tata Group.
Okay.
In terms of anecdotes, we've been investors in multiple Tata Group companies, and it is amazing to see that the value system, the principle-based decision making that Mr. Ratan Tata always embodied was visible across all of his all of his group companies. So, as a shareholder, I think Rakeshji and Rare have been privileged to be partners in this journey in whatever small way we could. And we will always be grateful to the group. But more specifically, I believe that Mr. Ratan Tata will forever be missed as a gentleman leader, who has been unlike any other business leader that India has ever had.
Again, for a viewer, the connect here is that Ratan Tata, Mr. Tata, was able to pivot the legacy companies to global companies, whether it was Tata Steel, Tata Global, or for that matter, Tata Motors. He was able to incubate new businesses which have become very large now. For example, TCS, Tata Technologies, and he was able to bet on entrepreneurs like Bhavesh, who were essentially are the foundation of the new India. So imagine what Mr. Tata in one lifetime was in a sense able to deliver, achieve, and was able to really commit to. Legacy companies were pivoted to a different level. Companies were incubated which have become very large, and betting on entrepreneurs like Bhavesh, which in a sense are the future of India.
In fact, I mean, he was so ahead of his times. Yeah. If you just cull out the list of when he made some of the marquee investments in his personal capacity, and Bhavesh is just one, example here. Upstocks, Paytm, Car Dekho, of course, Ola Electric, CureFit, Lenskart, Urban Companies, Snapdeal. I mean, he thought 20 years ahead, right?
Yeah. That is something which, when you're Tata Sons, you get understanding, you have the vision, and you understand which way momentum is moving. So, Bhavesh, what is one advice which you always got from Mr. Ratan Tata and which you think in a sense really was true yesterday, is true today, and will hold true tomorrow also? Bhavesh.
Nikunj, one of the things he always, whenever I met him, he used to say is, Bhavesh, always keep your eyes on the customer and keep your feet on the ground. And in different ways, he used to, sometimes, I used to go excited to him and share, sir, last few months I've grown so much. Or sometimes I used to share, sir, I'm planning this product, etc. He said, Bhavesh, great. And he used to involve very deeply into those discussions. But in the end, he used to always say, Bhavesh, you're one person who, while building, should always focus on the consumer and always keep your feet on the ground. And it's not always easy to follow that advice because it's hard to do. As you keep growing, you make mistakes, you learn some successes, some failures. But that's something that whenever I met him, he used to always reiterate to me that Bhavish, the future is ahead.
Mr. Rajan, the brand Tata is perhaps the center of trust. It is something which stands for a promise. What do you think Mr. Tata did to really pivot the brand to a different level? And I'm just going to give a background for our viewers here. When Mr. Ratan Tata took over, that time the main businesses of the Tata Group largely were steel, manufacturing, automobile. It is that in last 10 years, the businesses have been really pivoted to very consumer-facing businesses like Titan, or for that matter, Tata Consumer and others. Mr. Rajan?
So you have to go back to the time when he first architected the group's corporate purpose. And if you look at that purpose, which stands even today, it is improving the quality of life of the communities we serve. And that was very much at the core of how he thought business needed to really operate in a country like India. I think it also helped that he was chairman of the largest charities this country has, the Tata Trusts. And oftentimes he would ensure that in times of natural disaster, for instance, the charities worked in lockstep with the group companies in disaster relief programs, in putting communities back on their feet. So I think for him, the brand was really about what it could do to improve the quality of life of the people this group could serve. And therefore, everything that he looked at was really from the perspective of nation building. When we got into telecoms, when we expanded our operations in automobiles, when he conceptualized Tata's entry into passenger cars, all of this was with the vision that Tata's could do much more. We had the management capacity, and more importantly, the country needed it. And I think that's really the kind of mark that he has set on how you need to think about the purpose with which you actually are approaching business. You will obviously create profits and you will create returns, but ultimately, are you doing good for the people that you're there to serve? And will the communities benefit? Will jobs be created? And that is something that he passionately believed to the core about.
You know, it's like, Nikunj, someone was saying this morning that the Tata Group is literally from the time that you wake up. You switch off your Voltas AC, you look at your Titan watch, you look at the time, you dress in a West Side, Zara, Zudio, or what have you. You have a Tata coffee or a Tata tea. You get out in a Tata Motors car, or maybe fly out, to a Taj. In one of the Air India planes now, and yeah, anything tech, for all you know, TCS would definitely be behind
And now
it.
quick commerce also you can order on Big Basket.
Yes,
so
you
last
can.
part is also taken
And
care of.
Tata Sky, so your television content is also via the Tatas.
I was waiting for the television content endorsement.
But yeah, Mukund, you must be having, such delightful interactions with him one-on-one. I mean, we've only had very professional engagements with him. Tell us, what was he like when he was away from the media and from the business glare?
He is a lovely human being. He had a fantastic sense of humor. Very few people would know that he was an excellent mimic. So he could actually mimic his colleagues in the boardroom, some of the Tata CEOs. It would be great fun to just watch him. I'll tell you one story, which I've recounted on many occasions. This is of him sort of doodling in the boardroom, one of those long meetings. Everyone is getting a little bored. So he started drawing caricature of some of his colleagues. And in the early years in the 1990s, when he was chairman of Tata Sons, most of his colleagues were 20, 30 years older than him, which, by the way, is one of the reasons he understands why youth need to be supported. He was a spring chicken in that boardroom compared to some of his elderly colleagues. So he drew these three bald pates of three of his colleagues, Messrs. Sabawala, Sunawala, and Setna. These are real stalwarts of the Tata Group. And then at the end of it, he decided to actually show his artistry to them. And they actually loved it. So he made copies, he made 3 prints. He called it the 3 S's. And they proudly then displayed it on their desks. So he was somebody who could, see the fun in situations, be a very human person with his colleagues, and really, crack the joke or two. There's another episode I recount with Jamshed Baba when Mr. Baba was, again, 20 years older than him, slipped off his shoes under the boardroom table, and Mr. Tata quietly started kicking it towards the end. And at the end of the board meeting, Mr. Baba, when everyone else had sort of filed out of the boardroom, was looking for his shoes, no idea what had happened to them, and they disappeared. And the chairman and a few directors sort of knew what had happened and were quietly having a chuckle. So somebody with a great sense of fun. He could laugh at himself as well, which was, I think, very important. Sense of humor, I think, critical, given the kind of tension you would otherwise often experience in that kind of a role and job.
Okay. Mukund, your witty answers have even made Utpal smile for a change, right? You rarely see him smiling, but today Utpal said is also smiling. So Utpal, you have to share with us something which you've never shared before, or something which late Rakesh Jr. told you about Ratan Tata or the Tata Group, which only both of you know.
In one of our interactions, not with Mr. Ratan Tata, but with the group, it came across that the Tata Group looks for people who are humble, humane, and hungry. And that just left such a phenomenal impression on both Rakeshji and me of how, in one sentence, they could capture the spirit that the group was looking for in the people who were key members of the group. And it's not just a theory. I mean, we have seen that the actual people in the group, the leaders in the group, have demonstrated these qualities over a long period of time.
Now, before we wrap this special show, Bhavesh, you have to share with us something about Ratan Tata where he said, Bhavesh, I don't like this about what you are doing. I mean, are you sure you really want to do this? So it was more like an advice, but indirectly a scolding. Did he approve the e-scooter designs? Did he approve the e-scooter designs which everybody is talking about right now?
No, I'll share a interesting anecdote, which is a little embarrassing about myself, but I want to share it. So this is in the when he had taken me to Coimbatore, and I had said, sir, I want to start an EV company, and he said, Bhavesh, I am with you. Start. So then after that, maybe a year after that, I took to him a design of an auto rickshaw, electric auto rickshaw. And I was, this is 2018 or something. I had no idea about manufacturing anything. So, but I had gotten a design made by a designer, by an automotive designer. So it looked like a very cool auto rickshaw. And I took it to him in his Bombay House office, or maybe the Tata Trust office then. I showed it to him, and he started asking me technical questions. Bhavesh, what is the body made of? How will you manufacture it? Will it be a stamping or a casting? And I was looking at him dumbstruck. I didn't even know what stamping or casting is. I said, sir, please excuse me. I will come back to you in 3 months after I'm able to answer your questions. So he looked at me and smiled, and that's the nature of the man. Here I was, who had started an EV company, and I had no idea about manufacturing, but he had the belief in me that ye bachcha seekh lega. He said, Bhavesh, you come back to me because I'm just curious to know how you will build these vehicles. So then actually I went back to him after a few months and had a discussion, sir, I'm thinking about it like this, etc. When I understood the technologies, and the guy was so deeply detail oriented and so engaged in technology always. It was just an amazing thing engaging with him every time. And if I also want to share one more final thing about him, which also I personally saw repeatedly, and also I got inspired by that too, is his love for animals and dogs. In my, when I used to go meet him in the early part of my relationship with him, 2017, 18, I used to go to his office, and lo and behold, there's a dog sitting there in his office, proudly on the, and I had never been to a corporate office where the dog was sitting in the chairman's office. But that actually made me inspired and saying, I want to have dogs in my office. So now, similarly to Tata, we also said we'll have stray dogs and adopted dogs across our facilities. So that's the humane nature of Mr. Tata, and how he truly embodied the spirit of India and the spirit of humanity.
Bhavesh, I'm curious to ask, all businesses go through the ups and downs, much like he had that faith that, bacha seekh jayega eventually. Unfortunately, you didn't get to interact much with him because of his deteriorating health since you filed the DRHP. But you are going through a bit of a tough time right now with, all the consumer complaints. What do you think Mr. Tata would have told you, and what's the learning that you've got from him that you will sort of imbibe by to wade you through this patch right now?
No, I think if Mr. Tata would have been here, he would have said, Bhavish, be honest to the consumer, take both challenges, all kinds of challenges in your stride, and do the right thing for all stakeholders. And in my own way, he set such a high bar for all of us to live up to, and I feel blessed to have met him, and for me to have spent so much time with him closely to understand what the ideal man or the ideal businessman is like. So, I will definitely keep striving towards living up to his ideal.
What do we expect now from Ola soon? Now that you've given us a hint. I will not do my duty as a journalist if I don't ask you that.
I think today is about Mr. Tata. I think today is about honoring his legacy, and all of us, the whole nation is in this somber mood, but also in a mood of celebrating such an amazing life.
You've learned the art of dodging a journalist questions also. So well done, Bhavesh. That's what I can say.
Bhavesh Utpal's hearing. He's making the mental notes.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. And thank you very much for accommodating this request. It's been late minute for you, yet all of you found time in the middle of your working day to join us to just pay tribute to a great man, Ratan Tata, a man who's left many hearts broken. Today the nation is mourning for a man who will be remembered for his vision, his commitment, his dedication, his big heart attitude, his risk-taking ability, and whatever he did, the sole purpose was grow with a purpose, but focus on giving it back to the society. Thank you very much.
He remains immortal in the memories that all of us cherish with him, like all of our experts today did share with us. But thank you all of you for joining in and celebrating Ratan Tata's life.
Yes, thank you very much.
There comes a time when your heart calls for you to arise. Plant your feet solid into the ground. Decide your own limits. And then break right through them. Become something more. It's my time to rise.